so that'll be good. All right, so we're going live on Facebook now.
Ben Curtis
Page.
Live. Ben Believes?
Or just Ben Curtis, yep.
Okay.
All right, and we are live on Facebook.
Okay.
Hello,
right.
world.
Hello, Facebook.
So we're, John, while you're bringing us on Instagram, let us know when we're live on there. I just want to say good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Happy Monday. We're really excited to be having you here with us. We have talk today. I titled it, we're going to go wherever we want, but I titled it, Is Your Relationship Toxic? And that could be your relationship with yourself, with a man or a woman. We are live on Instagram, and we're here with Kim from Kimberly. How do you say your last name? Is it Massale?
Massale. Wait, okay, hold on.
We went over this.
How
Hello,
You're good. You're there.
You're in.
In front of your computer. You're in.
Just set your phone. You're in. I can see you.
It's making noise though. Hold on.
Yeah, you can turn your volume down.
Yeah.
It won't let me turn it all the way down. Sorry, guys. Technical.
It doesn't go all the way down.
Okay.
You just
so as you guys are figuring that out,
we'll do it.
Hello, Instagram. If you're at home and you're tuning in, please type in the comments or the little box where you are, and just one thing you're grateful for today. That'll get your Monday started.
Yeah.
On the right track with us. So welcome.
Kim, you got it. This is awesome. Welcome, Adrian, Revolut, Joanna, Ranklin, Caitlin, Melody. And I'd love for you to comment below if you're in a relationship.
Everyone's in a relationship.
John, you gave it away.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So Kim, hi, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. The sound is okay. It's not like
it's beautiful.
Okay,
great.
Good.
You are perfect.
That's
You're
okay.
enough. Just as you are. This is great. This is like the best tech we've had in months.
Oh, good.
So this is
Yay.
Yes, the planets have aligned.
Wow.
So Kimberly or Kim, I call you Kim, but
Kim is great.
Cool. How do you for all the people who are new to you or don't know who you are, how would you describe yourself to the world? Tell us a little bit about your awesome new commitment to the planet.
This is a good question. I feel like I could answer that in so many different ways. Let's see. In life, I'm a mama and a business owner and a coach. For work, I support women in stepping into their power and breaking through any limitations that are keeping them from being fully in their power. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh no.
I can hear you perfectly.
Wait, now can you hear me? How's that? Can you hear me on Instagram now?
Hello, Instagram. Can you hear us? And if you guys are at home, if anyone's at home and watching this on your phone, may we invite you to jump onto Facebook because you'll get a little bit better feed, a little bit better sound quality.
Hopefully they can hear me now.
So we're on Facebook and Instagram. You can go to Ben Curtis official page. All right.
All right.
Eduardo says meow. We can hear you. So we're good.
Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, I work with women. I've been working with women for a long time, helping them break out of smallness and taking up space and being in their power. In life, one of the things that is going on for me and my husband, we have flipped traditional gender roles, and he is the stay-at-home dad and I am the breadwinner. So that is a big part of my story and what's happening in my life and my work too.
That's awesome. Well, I just like hearing that there's shifts happening in the world, and then it doesn't have to be about gender. And I really got your dedication to children,
Yes.
to being a mom,
Yes.
to women. And from watching your page and watching all the growth of your business and what you're offering and how you're supporting women, I'm really inspired by what you're doing. And I hope any women watching today get to continue to follow Kim beyond this. And we like to do sort of a round robin thing. So after this, I'm going to pass it over to John. But Kim, I would just love to say one more thing to kind of get us in. I know there's a bit of a story around how you became a coach and why you're doing this work. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about that. So, all the people who are watching, they're like, okay, yeah, I would like for my life to be better, my relationship to be better, or, I'm struggling, which most of us are today, or the human condition. Like, what has brought you, like, what was the shift that had you start to change your life and really get responsible for it? And like, what had you become a coach? And then these roles of like talking about like choosing women or talking about the masculine versus feminine.
Yeah. Well, I could go way back. I think the first step for me was I was like gonna be an engineer. My parents are scientists, and I was gonna be an engineer because that's kind of what I was being groomed to be. And I had a big old psychological breakdown in college, and I like holed myself up in my room, disappeared from life, and I didn't know what was wrong. And yeah, I had to like quit school, move back home, and I spent a year trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I figured out that I had this like crazy phobia of vomiting, which is apparently a pretty common phobia, which I didn't know was even a thing. And yeah, I like went through a bunch of therapy trying to work through that and get to a place where it was actually like really impacting me to the point where I was like not functional. And it had been going on my whole life, but I was in total denial of it. So that was kind of like my first intro into psychology and healing work. And then
something around your throat chakra,
perhaps
trauma
solid
related
point. Yes.
Yeah.
The throat chakra has always been a thing for me. And then I went through a pretty toxic marriage after that, and came out of it and fell apart again. And not because of the failure of the relationship as much as like it was kind of like a breaking open process for me. It brought up all of the pain that I hadn't processed yet in my life, and all the issues I had with my like family of origin stuff that needed to be worked through. His puppy is so cute. I can't handle it. Sorry, slightly distracted. Yeah, and so then I think like coming out of that, I just realized how toxic that relationship was and how much I was struggling with my self-esteem. I just had really like no sense of self-esteem, and in large part because of that phobia, which sounds kind of silly, but like it felt like a big flaw that I had that was keeping me from being as good as other people, like as worthy. And that was kind of my like that breaking open process. I was like working with kids that were suicidal at the time, which was not helpful for me because then I just went into a big like suicidal spiral myself. And yeah, and then I worked a lot on myself and started to move more into embodiment processes for myself, and then started doing work with women in DC who are super high functioning and teaching them the same kinds of things that I had learned myself to get out of those spirals, out of the imposter syndrome into a sense of confidence, and have continued that process, like dismantling toxic and masculinity and femininity, you know, like the staying small of women, and the expecting a lot from women that happens in normative relationships. Yeah, that was a long-winded answer, but that's what happened to me. Those are my like breaking open processes that got me here.
We have a question from the audience. Revolution of the Mommies asked, why did you flip roles?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
It actually was not our plan at all, and I had to like work through a lot of feelings around it. I like really wanted to stay home with my kids when they were little, and that's just not what happened for us. My husband, when we moved to from DC to Colorado, and promptly got pregnant like right away, and my husband didn't have a job, and so we realized he was like sabotaging a lot of job opportunities because he was pretty traumatized by the industry that he was in, and realized he needed to like switch gears with his career. So he went back to grad school, and I started building my business, and my business just kept growing and growing and growing, which is very unexpected for me. I did not think that would happen, but it did. And so yeah, my business kind of blew up, and it just made more sense for me to be the person that was working, and my husband to be the one with the kids. And he had lost his job because of COVID, and it was kind of like, okay, well, do you look for a new job, or do you just like stay home with the kids now? And we're like, oh, I guess one of us should be with them because that's our value system. And yeah, now he's still staying home with them, and I'm still building my business, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it was like a really tough transition for both of us, like him working through his feelings around not working, and me working through my feelings around not being with the kids. It's been really hard. Good.
Do you feel it's more balanced though now that there is a polarity, or what?
Yeah, I think that it's been an invaluable growth process for us. I will say, like, I don't know what the right thing to have done would have been, but it has been wildly transformative for both of us to go through this process, and like for him to learn that he can be an awesome, they're downstairs right now, you can hear babies, to be an awesome stay-at-home dad, and for me to be like a total like badass business owner. It's yeah, it's been great. Like I wouldn't do it any differently, but it was very difficult at the time to commit to those changes.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by that.
Thank you.
I think a lot of men struggle with, a lot of the men I've dealt with and struggle with the sense of purpose or needing to have some kind of drive constantly in order to feel validated.
Yeah.
And I think we've been programmed that way. So I can imagine, and then also for you to be going through a lot of intense healing, bring up all the stuff from your past and mothering by surprise and like building a business all at once, you know, watching my sister-in-law become a mom, and just all the things I'm reminded that society doesn't tell you that women go through, like the birthing like the pregnancy they're birthing alone, but then also, you know, the struggle of like dealing with another human and how it has you deal with yourself, right?
It's
and
crazy,
so
yeah.
I think, you know, when we ask like, are you in a relationship, like we're all in a relationship, and I talk to clients a lot about the relationship with yourself and how relationships with other people are so much a reflection of ourselves and can be
Yes.
really painful at times. And you know, we've talked about, like, I'd love to talk to your husband sometime and find out like about his struggles inside of this difficulty, or maybe whatever he had to go through in order to release his need to work and to just be, and like what the transformation must be, and your probably ability to release some of that burden of responsibility, like, and trust, and allowing him to, like, you know, be a caretaker for your children, and you to take on that masculine role, which sounds like they're both new roles for the both of you.
Yeah.
And Revolution of the Mommies asked, like, is he cool with it? Is he still nurturing passions of his own, or is he really liking being a home dad?
Good questions. You'd have, you can talk to him. We had a big old conversation about this last night because he was offered 2 consulting jobs that make a lot of money in the last week, and he's having to decide whether to take them because he could do it. But the thing that happens is then it eats out our collective bandwidth and takes away from our ability to be present with our kids. So it's this process of like deciding how best to use our resources in a way that ultimately is going to be most beneficial for our kids rather than like our egos. So he's in this constant like release of ego. It's like layers on layers on layers. And for me, it's the same. It's like, do I encourage him to have some sense of worthiness through work, if that's what makes him feel good, or do I really encourage what I feel like is like truly beneficial to our kids and our family? It's so hard. It's so hard to navigate. But yeah, you guys should definitely chat with him sometime about his process. I go through the opposite,
He can be our next guest.
For sure. He would love to. He doesn't get very much adult interaction, so I'm sure he would love to chat with you guys.
And I want to really acknowledge him. And he's not here, but maybe you can acknowledge him for us. But
I'm sure he'll watch this later.
I think as a collective, there's been just me growing up, being around other females. There was talks of like my female friends saying like, I have dad issues. Like my father was never around, or he was always working, or he was just not in the picture. And with your husband, he's actually in the picture like full time.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely a big swing, and I see how that could be very beneficial for, I don't know if your children are boys, girls, or is it, what do you have?
A boy and a girl. They're
Cool.
Around 2 and 4.
So you have both. So I know that that's going to make a big difference and impact in their lives, just having that masculine presence in their lives. Just looking from a third person, like outside perspective, I do see how as a collective there was a period, I think maybe like the baby boomer era, where men were always working, and then like the moms were, it was just like very polar in one direction. And so I guess this would be like the rebalancing.
Working on it, but it's still really significant. Like I think that the stat was 80% of the people that lost their jobs during COVID were women because of childcare. So if you think about that, like we're not anywhere close to even. It's still really tough. Like it's still really significantly uneven. And I understand there's like breastfeeding and things that men can't do, but like we still made it work where I was nursing, like I was working on my business at night with a baby, like nursing asleep on my lap, and just take breaks and nurse and then hand the baby off. So
wow. Well, I'm
I
curious.
think women also get stepped over So first of all, thank you for acknowledging the insane imbalance that is still there, because most men in power that I hear speak still think that like things are great now.
Oh my gosh, no.
For
There's so much I
women,
could
for
say, Ben.
minorities.
You should talk to John about this, because like when he started caretaking our kids, he thought he knew what being a parent was. He had no idea. Like I was doing the majority of it still, and I think men like think, and a lot of them are still like they're good, but they have no idea how much they're not doing. It's just so like ingrained in them to defer to women.
Do you think
And
that's like
women,
a instinctive feminine quality to know? Like I know the feminine energy, the yin energy, is very nurturing, very intuitive.
yeah.
And then men are masculine, yang energy is more logical and analytical. So I think logically, maybe the masculine thinks there's like a checklist of things to do, and then the feminine energy is like, oh, I'm feeling like this needs to happen, or can sense it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, that's true, but I don't think it's necessarily like John, my husband, my partner, he's learned to do a lot of the things that like to intuit what the kids need, to like multitask, to have all the things ready. Like I literally do nothing in terms of household chores and childcare at this point. Like we have completely flipped. So I know that men are capable of it. It's just that I don't think they're groomed to do it. And like I grew up like taking care of, babysitting and working at summer camps, and John didn't do any of that shit, so like I knew how.
Yeah.
He was like playing soccer all summer and riding bikes, and I was like over at the neighbor's house making a few bucks babysitting. So
yeah, I lost babysitting jobs because I was a guy growing up. Like I wanted to babysit sometimes, and people would be like, actually we've got this girl, but you never hear about like nannies or dudes.
That's so true.
Or like wives sleeping with their nanny dudes. Like, and we're not given a chance because we're too busy trying to fix everything, because that's what we've been programmed to do. I'm speaking sweeping generalization.
Yeah, do it.
It's true. And like y'all have taken on, it's so fucking powerful. Women have taken on like everything.
Yeah.
And then it's been expected to also like compete with men inside of these spaces while trying to like handle kids. And that's why my wife, like, she's approaching 40 and she hasn't wanted to have kids, because she's like, I know she's been a nanny for families who have just passed their children off on her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know how hard it is, like what you have to sacrifice. It's the amount of, like you said, shedding ego. And then we don't even give, women space to menstruate, like or deal with their bodies, or to prepare to have the children, or like you have the time off to be pregnant, but then you don't have the time off to be with your kid.
There's not, like, I worked all the way up to the end in both pregnancies, which is fucking batshit. Like, why?
My sister-in-law waited tables because she wanted to work the whole time till the day before she was pregnant.
But why? Why did she want to work? Because like that's what we're told we're supposed to do, and because there's no ceremony around having children. Like, what is there? Like, what are we gonna do?
Sit at home? Outside and have a sense of purpose, but she didn't want to just sit at home, right? Yeah, it's like, what do you do? So it's there's a lot of challenges here, so I'm glad we're talking about it. And I just want to kind of orient us in we've got another great question. Joanna, you're killing it. Is your husband, we asked that. So what do you go through with the feelings of being like switching in the masculine role as a breadwinner?
Let me just put this in the middle. Sorry guys, I'm getting used to this format. I struggle with it a lot because, like I said, I grew up like wanting to have kids for a long time, it felt like that was the only purpose I had on this planet, was to have babies, which was a big part of my process of like releasing that and finding my own identity outside of being a mother before I was even a mother. So letting go of the idea that like, I mean, part of why I chose John was because I knew he had a stable job that was making money, and that when it came time to have babies, that I would be secure to be able to stay home for a little while. And then that's not how it happened, which is totally fine. But I had to work through my own ego around providing the kind of care and attachment that I wanted to, because it just wasn't available to us at the time. And then switching roles when we did consciously decide to do that, like every moment I hear my kid crying and I'm like, I can't control that. I have no idea what's happening. I'm like taking care of somebody else in my space for work instead of being present with my kid. It's like, it can be very painful for me, because I do believe that that's like inherently who I am. Is I am all about love and connection. So not being able to be available to my kids is really hard at times. But John's like probably more empathetic than I am. He's just a wildly loving soul. Like that's what he is best at. And so I know they're in good hands and there's nothing to worry about. It's that like mom gut instinct that's like, okay, go run down there, make sure everything's okay. It's really hard. But you know, the masculinity.
What a beautiful instinct that is.
It is. It's pretty crazy. But like masculine energy has never been hard for me. If anything, it's been like owning feminine energy that's been difficult, because it's so like just repressed in our culture. I'm sure you guys know that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you talk about that all the time, right? Like that's been a big part of John's process too, is like accepting his feminine energy. But yeah, like masculine's easy. We're taught how to be masculine. Maybe not in a healthy way, but
I think through grade school and everything, we're almost everything is taught on like a masculine lens.
totally.
Like, do this, do that, achieve this for that, and it's never there's never class on how to be nurturing and loving and
oh my God.
emotional, or like to be empathetic. It's always like logic, analytics, like get this. Even in history class, you learn about like these heroes that are like, or you know, these presidents, and it's just all male driven agenda.
Absolutely.
And then the tests are just the dates and names. They're not even about the heart of it. I was just trying to picture all these like dudes that I went to high school with, like these super entitled, like rich kids in ties trying to take a class on how to be like nurturing, and then they're Southern too, you know.
Oh gosh.
They're like, what the hell? But how beautiful that would be, and how some of the guys like me would have fucking loved that. But like, finally a class for me. You know, because if you don't fit into that, you're taught that you're an outsider, and most people don't fit into a single box. They fluctuate the whole time.
Yeah.
So no wonder kids are feeling suicidal, and if you're different or feminine, like you hate yourself. Like that's a lot of stuff I deal with. I help my clients with, is how much they've been trained to hate themselves because they don't fit into this masculine role. So I see how much men struggle with that. So I can't imagine what the experience is for women.
Yeah, I don't think women really even understand feminine energy. Like I don't think women understand like that feminine energy is about like collaboration and creativity and freedom. Like those things don't exist in the way that our culture runs.
I think it's rising though, for sure. There's been a huge feminine rising, that women are having women's circles. There's someone's phone needs to be turned down. Right. Getting a lot of echo.
Is that better?
Got a lot of echo. Yeah. But there's definitely a feminine rising in the energies, and women are gathering together, learning embodiment. And I think I was speaking to actually Revolution of the Mommies last week about this, and how these conversations, it's kind of like our yoga mat. And what we talk about here is just practice to what we do in the real world when shit hits the fan. Just like in a yoga class, what you practice is in the real world, how you can adapt and integrate. And yeah, so these conversations is just bringing those shadows into light so that we can look at it, and because we're talking about our emotions or how you feel about a certain situation rather than just like the facts of it or the analytics of it. So I do see a rising in the feminine, but there's definitely room for more. I feel like schools could definitely adopt classes that will teach something like this.
Some of them do. I mean, I think like some of the models do. They're trying to at least incorporate more like empathy focused like curriculum, but it needs to be like the heart of school, in my opinion, as opposed to just like a afterthought, you know.
Yeah,
one thing I will add,
maybe we're creating that school right here. I'm just thinking that's what I'm trying to create in the Lion's Den, is like a heart school for men, you know. And I think we need to open it to all people. Revolution of the Mommies is ready to join. She said, "What is feminine rising? Can I join?"
So Revolution of the Mommies, there's plenty of feminine circles happening here locally in Houston, and also online. Literally last week I was on this 4-day masterclass program with a feminine coach, and she talked about like embodying, you know, different aspects of our sexual polarity. So I can give you guys links to that. But on a side note, I think the reason why like yoga, for example, has really risen and just gotten really popular here in the States or in Western culture is that we've been taught like if you do something athletic, you have to like go for the goal, win, score a point, and that's very masculine. Like you do something and then you get the reward, and it's like and I think with yoga, you say you like a yoga flow, and flow is very feminine. So that's where I think even men really like, man, I like yoga because it allows me to like tap into this subtle energy about me, and that's that yin aspect, that feminine flow. And when we can actually feel both balances of our body, where we have structure in our lives and we have that flow, we'll feel harmony in ourselves. So I think that's where my purpose is in life, is to bring that balance of flow to my community. But yeah, and also what you're doing is amazing. You're a confidence and embodiment coach. So confidence is very like solar plexus, and then which is like a masculine thing, and then embodiment to me is very much on the like feeling the senses of your body, and that's the sacral chakra, which is very feminine. So I love that you're embodying like these two polarities of masculine and feminine. So that's beautiful.
I've never heard them. Sorry guys, I'm getting over a cold. This is the thing with having kids. Excuse me. I've never heard those the chakras having a masculine and feminine energy.
They're very polar. The root chakra is earthy, which is the masculine, and then sacral is water, and that's fluid, feminine, and then solar plexus is sun, which is the sun is masculine, and then you go to the heart, and the heart is balanced. And so it just kind of weaves through both polarities. But yeah, you got both.
That's very interesting. Wait, sorry, Ben, I don't understand I'm sorry. I know that
I just meant I sent Kim a note that if on your computer, if you mute when you're not talking, it'll take out the echo on your little Zoom screen on your computer.
Thank you.
So, and yoga is also both masculine and feminine. It actually has a lot of
It
structure
is.
in it.
Sthira Sukha,
Um,
right? It's structure and ease.
Yeah. And there's a lot of structure, like Ashtanga, created for like teenage boys to channel their physical energy, and then like women took over. And so men have been like afraid to get in this thing, and it's actually like, you know, kind of masculine actually. But there's so much fear in stepping into our feminine. So the only thing that's holding us back is the things that we're afraid of actually expressing because we think it might affect our validation and love in the world. But that very thing is what's going to create more love and validation and acceptance in the world. But we have to lead by example, and that is so uncomfortable, you know, to step into our discomfort, and to find relationships with people that challenge us versus the ones that just have us stay stuck in our roles. I think we attract those toxic relationships are the one where we're reenacting that toxic behavior that keeps us traumatized and keeps us stuck and keeps us not having to take full responsibility for our lives and keeps us allowing us to stay in the victim. And to putting a stop to that can also be uncomfortable because that means you've got to take some responsibility for your life, you know, and even having kids can be putting the responsibility on someone else, but that also breaks up a lot of relationships because suddenly people are dealing with themselves. Because those kids become a reflection for them. So I just want to honor how much work you've done, Kim, inside of your relationship and showing up for both your kids and yourself and allowing your partner the space to show up for both the kids and himself. And for you guys to like step into these roles that are uncomfortable and have these conversations and to talk about it because you're really leading by example and you're stepping into the unknown. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah, we were just talking about that last night a little bit, how like it feels very unknown, even though we have some mentors that we look up to or people that we look up to. It does sometimes feel kind of like few and far between. And I also, you know, like the way I work a lot of times, because I feel like it's spiritually like one of the best ways for me to harness creativity is to like kind of stay in my little like creative bubble. I do like a lot of meditation and try not to like be looking at other people's conceptualizations of things a lot. And so a lot of times it does just feel like it's this like isolative process of feeling like you're stepping into the next level of yourself and you don't know exactly what it's going to look like, which is beautiful and wonderful because you're not influenced by other things and other people. But then it's also like, where the hell am I going? Like, what am I doing? Where are we going here? And so we were talking about that last night, just like, okay, we know like this thing is not working, but what is going to be the next thing that like takes its place? Like, who are we if we're not toxic masculinity and toxic femininity? And that's like a really big generalization, but you know, what happens if
Great
you like,
question.
you know? So yeah, thank you, Ben. I appreciate your acknowledgement. It's a crazy process to be going through. Like so good, but it is nice to have the validation from other people that get it, for sure.
Carlos, I want to touch on the topic of like the venting versus the healing. I saw that on your wall. So anyone at home, if you haven't followed Kimberly's page, go ahead and do that. She's got really cool topics, and I just skimmed through it over the weekend. And there's one topic that was like venting versus healing that you had posted about, and I thought that was a really cool concept of looking at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been in the field of psychotherapy. Like I was originally a psychotherapist. I was really an art therapist, actually. And like the world of psychology and therapy is like all about building insight and like building safety in relationship, which is cool. Like it's a great process, but at a certain point, like you tip from that sort of like insight, trust building into the actual process of transformation in the healing process. And it's a very different way of showing up in your healing process. So a lot of people think that healing is just like venting. Like you're just going in and you're like spewing about your week. And like that's where healing ends. And it's so not. Like that's just like when you can get to a point where you're like, okay, like I don't have to just sit here and talk about my week. I'm ready to look at the core issues and like really embody and break through the shit that's holding me back and really do the work. Like that's when true transformation starts. And there, there's something to be said about venting, is when you feel like you have to do that, that's the introduction, and you do have to build safety to do that work. But then yeah, like people don't always realize that there's a whole other like step to healing, which is embodiment. It's not just talking, it's like feeling your way through a growth process. Yeah.
Like doing the work actually, right? Rather than talking about the issues or the complaints, and transcending those issues.
That's the first thing, like in the landmark forum that they talk about. I mean, people, it's so valuable. It's just to like stop complaining to your partner or to your friends, because it's only creating more toxicity in your life. The more you complain, you're creating more of that. If you say, I don't want that, or that's bad, and guess what the energy you're creating and you're attracting. It's wild.
Yeah. The other piece of that is like, when you're venting to somebody, you're looking for validation. If you have to talk to somebody about something, it means that you're like unsure at your depths whether you did the right thing, or whether you said the right thing, or whether you're seeing it clearly. So if you're talking something out with somebody, it means that you're not fully clear on your truth, right? Which is, normal, but like we're usually not. It takes a lot of work to get to a point where you're like sure about everything that you're doing. And maybe we don't ever get there. But the reality is, if you're venting, especially if you're blaming somebody, like you're talking smack about somebody, it's because at your depth, you're not sure like whether you did the right thing, or whether you are feeling or seeing it properly in like the wisest version of you.
100%. I think also, so I hear, you're being intentional about your speaking. And one of the things people I see struggle with in relationship a lot is not being great listeners, and wanting to do something with your partner's energy or with someone you care about when they're suffering, or when they're sharing something, or when they're experiencing pain, or just when they're talking. And one of the things I work with guys on it, if they're like, well, what do I do when my partner's sharing something with me and I'm wanting to fix it? And one of the things I've practiced that's been really helpful when I'm noticing myself wanting to fix is I ask my partner, as like, it could sound condescending, but it's true. And it works for us now, because I told her why I'm asking her. I say, how would you like to be listened to right now? Are you wanting to just vent? Would you like me to offer feedback? Just so I know how to listen to you, because I'm wanting to fix this right now. So before I say anything, like, I just wanted to check in. So you can actually ask people how they want to be listened to. And sometimes that can create the space. And sometimes people don't know. Like, oh, great question. Actually, I don't know. Or maybe I just did need to share it. Or, maybe I would want feedback. And so you can always offer that too.
Ben, that's like does not sound condescending at all to me. I feel like
okay, good.
this would improve so many marriages. That was like a standard question that was asked.
It could be a tattoo on your arm. How would you like to be listened to right now?
Well, if someone's like, and you're like, how would you like to be listened to right now? Like, that might set them off. But at the same time, You're like, it's such a request. It's a great question.
Dude, I think like that would be a lot less setting off than like the problem solving that would normally happen.
We're giving away free tattoos to all men out there, and they'll say, how can
Yeah.
how can I listen to you right now?
Yeah. You can order your temporary tattoo
Yeah.
right here today.
I love
Maybe
it.
I'll get a bumper sticker made or a t-shirt.
T-shirts are good. But then you'd have to give it to your partner and they can wear it. And then you can read it off of their
Yeah,
shirt.
it can be like a sisterhood of the traveling pants situation. It's just like you wear that shirt for a while and then you like pass it on to somebody
Yeah.
else. You know?
Yeah, that's great.
I like that.
Oh, you're having a relationship? Probably here. Borrow this.
Borrow the shirt. How can I listen to you better?
Guys, I feel like this is gold. I feel like we need to start this immediately.
Definitely.
I'm into it.
Okay.
All right,
If
we
you're a
have.
t-shirt designer and you're watching,
You
send
can
us an
potentially
example
save
and we'll give
all
you.
mankind with one T-shirt design. It's happening. The revolution has begun.
I like this.
Okay. Well,
Got my wheels turning, guys.
yeah. I think it is wrap-up time. Yeah. Kimberly, would you like to close out with a thought, a quote, meditation, anything of your choice? We always give it
Oh,
to
I
the
wasn't prepared.
Ah.
Let me think about that for a second. I feel like a big theme of what we talked about was just embracing the possibility for a different way of being in the world, you know, accepting and embracing your feminine and masculine energy as it is and as it makes sense for you and the world and your family. So yeah, I think I would just encourage people to like take that leap of faith and trust whatever combination is aware or available and right for you in the moment, perhaps. That's what I got for you.
Beautiful.
You got something, Ben?
No, that's
Yeah,
great.
that was beautiful. I love it.
Thank you guys so much for having me and chatting with me. It's like such a fun discussion. I'll definitely tell John that he would love to be, you know, chatting with you guys too.
Yeah. Have him send us a message somehow. You have my phone number too, so
Yeah.
if he feels more comfortable texting, that's cool. We can even like have a call, him and I, before so we can connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be happy to have him on here.
Yeah, that would be a great
We'd love to.
perspective just to look at in that.
Yeah.
That
I
lens.
invited I told my wife about you, Kim, and I was I said I wanted her to be a guest on the show too, and she's like, well, wait till I have like this thing. She's about to launch her first solo album, and her first single is really huge, and the name of the song ended up being what her sister named her baby, and neither of them knew about it at the time. It was Chase. And Cassie's doing the song about her father who died of a drug overdose when she was 16. She barely knew him, and she's releasing it on Father's Day. So we bring her on here to talk also more about like those masculine, feminine roles and what we do even when we're raised inside of this stuff, right? Because ultimately now we've got to like parent ourselves, but we get to do it with each other, and you can do it with a coach or with a friend. You know, your partner cannot be everything for you, every and all things, you know. So if you're listening, just remember that. And you have 3 beautiful coaches here who would love to support you. So please follow Kim. And if something resonated here, please comment, please subscribe or share so that we can get this message out to the world. And thank you all who joined us today.
Yes. Thank you all.
Kim,
if you're at home, Yes, we love you guys so much. We'll see you next Monday. And if you have topics that you want to talk about, hit us up on the message, the DMs, because we love sharing what we have to say. And if you know someone that would be great on the show, connect us and we'll bring them on. So thank you guys again. Happy Monday.
And thank you to Yoda for bringing me so much joy in the background.
This guy, he's out, man.
That has given me so much joy today. Just seeing him behind you.
Yeah,
he's the secret star of our show. He's like,
is.
What the hell? I'm sleeping, man. Come on.
People tune in just for that. Okay, love you guys so much. Goodbye.
Bye. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Bye.